The melon peels decorated a ceramic plate with blue and red petals. My eyes stayed fixated on the colors. It was this shade of blue that was used to paint our shutters of the house. But this is a color that doesn't just exist through a plate or some shutters. This blue is special, magnificently ordinary. I'm Emily Dash. I'm a senior art major at Chapman University, and I'm working on my senior thesis right now. I started painting when I was about 8 years old, and it was just because my mom put me in classes because she could tell that I had an artistic inclination, and I just kept painting since then, and it was just, a love story. The reason I do art is definitely for personal reasons first, because art tends to be something that helps you and that you need to externalize, and that's a very personal and intimate thing. And the second you start to consider it something that the world is going to consume and the world is going to buy, you start to take other people's perspectives into play. Needing to consider how other people are going to perceive your work is difficult in the creation process, because it's thinking about the end result before actually making the product, which kind of goes against the creative process. I like painting because it's both intellectually and physically stimulating. The very first type of painting that I was interested by was figure painting, just because it's the thing that I was taught to notice as beautiful. And then the more I was engaged conceptually in what I was creating, the more I realized that I wasn't actually considering my own body when painting other bodies, and that was a problem for me. And it also posed a lot of questions of why I'm considering other bodies before considering my own. And so my practice began to be deciphering those parts of identity and how what you see changes the way that you perceive yourself. And the content that you're surrounded by really shapes the reality in which you exist. This is my project. I have 2 paintings here. It's not done, but basically the ideas behind it are art history is so saturated with images of objectified women, and I wanted to relate that to the amount of bodies that we see in the media and making sense of our own bodies when being so saturated by male opinions of how we should look like or how we should behave or be perceived or want to be perceived. The angle of representation changes the power dynamics. Over here, we're like looking down at a couch, versus my other painting, we're looking up at a couch with a woman with her legs open, which is a self-portrait to relate to agency and control over the way that you're perceived and represented. The shade is seen almost everywhere in the coastal parts of France because it speaks to our people's connection to the ocean. This blue is also used in old Breton garments for traditional dances and cultural festivals. To myself, it embodies life, death, pain, pleasure, earth, culture, and existence. A blue that is neither sad nor happy, but painfully beautiful. A beauty that a single person could spend their whole life trying, but would never fully absorb. So I do write as well as paint, and I think the creative part comes in from creative nonfiction, and my painting is I have no specific structure to either. I'm very perceptive to what I'm feeling and what I feel like is happening in the writing or the piece. So with that, I kind of choose what direction it's going to go in based on how I'm feeling. So it's very explorative, maybe is the word. Just putting one foot in front of the other and finding out what my next step is based off of my previous step, and just allowing the creative process to unravel. My view of the world, wow. That's hard. I think that everything happens in cycles. So conceptually or visually, I feel like there would be some reference to cycles, birth, death, relating to behavior and how cycles of behavior affect us and why we behave the way that we do.
But when I cry, my eyes are dry. The tears are in my heart. Oh, my darling, can't we make up? Ever since our breakup, make believe is all I do. Living on the outside, crying on the inside.
You know, painting can be a lot of things. It can be something that brings you a lot of joy, but it can also be something that brings you a lot of pain. Once you start painting for a long time, you kind of get into this meditative state where you're very engaged and sucked into what you're doing. And it's like the whole world kind of disappears and the only thing that you're focusing on is just the painting. So yeah, it takes you out of your body, for sure.